Boom, guys, it is 8:15, which means that it is just under an hour until the BBC Radio Somerset interview with Jenna Myles. Cannot wait, it's going to be absolutely brilliant, and I'm going to get changed now and get cracking. Fights on! Louis, nice to meet you. Guys, I'm in the BBC Radio studio right now, BBC Radio Somerset studio, and just met Josh, and I'm going on in about 10 minutes time. It's going to be brilliant, cannot wait for it, and yeah, hope some of you are all tuned in. Let's go.
Have you ever wondered what it's like flying in a fighter jet with a Top Gun pilot? Well, if it's ever crossed your mind, you are going to love this next half hour.
Yes, Claire is back on Monday from 6, but tonight, well, we've got some great conversation coming up for you. What do you reckon it's like flying in a fighter jet with a Top Gun pilot? Well, we're about to find out, because I'm really pleased to say Taunton-born podcaster Louis Skupien joins us in the studio to tell us about it. Louis, great to have you on the show.
Jenna, thank you so much for having me, and good evening, Somerset. What an absolute pleasure, and truly exciting for a Friday night.
Yes, absolutely, it really is. Well, Louis, you know, let's start with how on earth did this adventure come about? Tell us all about it.
Okay, so I'm the host of the Talk4 podcast, which is with the number 4, and I've gone through very many military guests in the past before, so Navy SEALs, a nuclear submarine commander, and it was after watching Top Gun Maverick in the cinema that I thought, I want to have a Top Gun graduate fighter pilot on the show soon as well. So I reached out to kind of the aviation guys and a few fighter pilots from the States, and I had a couple on, and then I got the dream. I got the Top Gun graduate fighter pilot of the Adversary Red course, and at the end of the podcast he invited me out to Florida to quote, jump in the back of his fighter jet, pull some G's and bend the jet around. So I was then very swift to take him up on that offer, and I was booking flights in a few days after that, and then the rest is history.
Gosh, was it a surprise when he invited you over to the States?
Oh God, I mean, it's just not something you would expect. I mean, you've done this podcast and it's all over Zoom, and then he pops that thing out at the end, and it's like, oh my God, okay, yes, absolutely. So yeah, like I said, very swift to take him up on the offer, and I was just so excited. I mean, for months I had that anticipation kicking in, and it was just so much excitement. And when it finally got to the day I was leaving for the airport, it was just fireworks.
Gosh, I can imagine. And what happened then when you got to the States, Lou?
So the first day I was there, this is a funny story. In true Brit fashion, I unbelievably, I managed to burn on the first day slightly, but I had
sunburn.
I had the chance to kind of explore the town quite a bit to begin with, and I was in communication with Whiz, who is the Top Gun graduate fighter pilot, Matthew, call sign Whiz Buckley, and yeah, so he then said we're going to be going to Pompano Beach Airport, which is a private airport in the area, and he said we're going to go for an 8:30 in the morning briefing before the flight, and obviously got the travel sorted for that. And I mean, I got to the place and walked through the door, and there he is.
Is he what you'd expect?
Oh, I mean, it's one of those things when you see someone online only, like over Zoom or something, you always have kind of these things, expectations and stuff, but when you actually see them in person, it's always slightly different from what you'd expect. But I mean, it was fantastic, really, from word go, seeing him. He's such a nice guy, very welcoming, and we had a good laugh, and went straight into the briefing after that.
Did you feel nervous at this point, or were there no nerves?
Oh God, I mean, it had been in the back of my mind. I mean, I have a very slight fear of heights, so I was thinking, well, I mean, going at a few thousand feet in the air, upside down in this jet, I'm not sure how I'm going to react to that, but I was absolutely fine, so that's all good. Of course, definitely nervous, but I mean, he was great at just making me feel really comfortable in the environment, and I think the nerves probably kicked in slightly more when he said that, well, his description was, anything that's bright red in the cockpit, don't pull, press or touch it. You might notice there's 2 red handles beneath your legs, and he said, yeah, if you pull those, you're going to be ejecting. So we have low ejection seats here, and we are flying over the Everglades today. And he said, so even if you do have to punch out in the worst case scenario, you are likely to be on the menu for the alligators. So that really didn't help settle the nerves, and definitely stepping out into the hangar and then seeing this machine, obviously, that was, definitely a few pangs of nerves there, but I did better than I thought it would.
Well, you know, when you saw this plane, just describe the plane for us, for people that haven't seen one of these fighter jets.
Yeah, so the jet is an L39 Albatros, and it's obviously a hell of a lot smaller than kind of like the traditional commercial planes, but I mean, just walking out into this hangar and then seeing it was parked outside. His son Matthew was fueling it up, and the sun was out. It was a perfect day to go flying, and it was just gleaming and just looked like just this incredible piece of machinery, just ready to get in there and go flying. And it just looks mean and looks fast, like it's just gonna absolutely tear through the airspace. So yeah, like I said, pangs of nerves when I first saw it, but just an absolute spectacle to see.
So in terms of where you sit in the plane, so you've got, you know, your guy piloting the plane, he's in the front. Where are you? You're next to him? You're behind him? Where?
Behind him. So it's a very thin design, so obviously the wingspan is quite wide, but the actual kind of, you know, the middle part of the cockpit is very narrow. So yeah, I was behind him in the back seat. If anyone's seen Top Gun, I was kind of like where Goose would be in the back seat.
Yeah. Brilliant stuff. So did your heart stop when you took off?
Oh, I think it was going at 200 miles an hour from word go, if I'm honest with you, Jenna. So yeah, we obviously got the straps into the fighter jet, and obviously got the kind of ejection stuff sorted and the safety briefing and all this. Got suited up in the G suits, and looking at myself in the mirror, I was like, oh boy, okay, this is going to be intense. And so yeah, the engine starts, and you have to have earplugs in, and then obviously the helmet's on top of that because the plane is so loud.
Yes.
And it's just, I mean, when it starts up and you feel the engine, you hear the engine, it's just so powerful. And then we're going down the, the side roads beside the runway and waiting for a couple of planes to take off before us. And then we're there, and he's like, okay, you want to turn the GoPros on now, and we're about to kick off. And kind of, it's exactly like you hear on the TV and in the movies. You hear like the crackling and the radio stuff going on. So it's so cool. And then, you know, we're just hurtling down the runway so quick, and then, you know, we're off the ground taking off, and before you know, it's just the city is just right there in front of you. Amazing.
Gosh. What was your favourite part of this experience, Louis?
So we did a variety of aerobatics, from the barrel rolls to a G-warm to the Cuban 8, but I mean, my favourite part had to be kind of towards the latter part of the flight, where we did a low-level attack run over a river leading to Lake Okeechobee, and we were on, well, let's put it this way, he had to pull up to avoid a power line or a telephone line, and so we were going that low over the river, and just carving our way through the land, and just it was just incredible, because obviously when you're up in the sky, you don't have quite as much sense of how fast you're actually going, but when you're on sort of like a very low level, on the ground level, and you're just seeing the world as this blur and the engine's just firing away, it's just amazing. So I have to say that was probably the most energetic moment of the whole thing. It was just so cool.
Gosh, I'm going to have to say, I'm feeling slightly queasy thinking about it. Did it feel as fast as you thought it would?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, one of the things I was thinking about with the whole experience was that from all the movies I'd seen and games I'd played and stuff with fighter jets and things in the past, you just cannot anticipate how powerful these things actually are. And it's like, you know, the most you feel is kind of a little vibration or shock in the controller, but actually I got to fly the jet quite a bit too, and even like the smallest sort of touch of the joystick has such a big effect with the G-force, and it's so powerful, and it's just so quick. It's going to be a hard one to top, that's for sure.
Hang on a minute, so you got to fly it as well?
Yes, I did.
Okay, now This is a bit of a jaw-dropping moment. So when he said to you, do you want to take the controls, did you know that was going to happen?
Well, one of the things my mum and dad said to me before I left was they said, so your 21st birthday's coming up soon, obviously, and they said, if you can, just get him to kind of allow you to fly the jet for a few seconds or something. And then when I actually got there, without saying a word to him, he was like, yep, so you're going to be flying the jet for most of this. I'm like, oh, okay, oh boy. Yeah, Whiz, I'm not exactly qualified for this, man. And he's just like, it's going to be fine. The jet's very forgiving. It's obviously it is a military jet, and it's a fighter jet, but it is also used for the training purposes too. And it has split controls, so the person in the front can give control to the guy in the back.
Gosh.
So obviously he did that, and he was like, yep, so we need to go in this direction a bit. So turning the plane, oh, okay, G-force, wow. And then he was like, okay, so I want you to jam the joystick as hard as you can all the way to the left, and we're going to do a loop. And I was like, okay, wow. So then did that, and then, you know, the world is just, you're looking up at the world.
Wow. Gosh, that is incredible. It's incredible that you did that. It's incredible you got to fly it as well. As you said, that is going to be tough to top. So
absolutely.
What do you think your next adventure is going to be?
Oh, I have no idea. I mean, it's a very difficult one to try and beat, but I'd love to go out again. I mean, his foundation, No Fallen Heroes, they do that stuff a lot, and actually they have a second jet just like that in the hangar there too, another L39 Albatros, and sometimes they go out doing formation flying, and they sometimes do dogfights as well. So hopefully maybe in future I get to go back out there and do a dogfight with Whiz. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to have to think long and hard about the next adventure that's going to be anything quite as adrenaline-packed as that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, before you go, Louis, tell us a little bit more about your podcast and what it is and what you're up to with it. Absolutely.
So I started with a general sort of idea for quick-fire formats of 4 questions for unique and interesting people, and I've certainly filled that need. Definitely, I've had famous musicians, like I said, lots of military folk as well. Some people just have the most incredible stories. A guy has the best story of survival and resilience I've ever heard. Like I said, a nuclear submarine commander, authors, CEOs, just public speakers, the lot. It's just been an absolute blast. And so if anyone wants to listen, it is Talk with the number 4 at the end, Talk4 Podcast, or underneath my name, Louis Skupien. I do video, and it's on all the platforms as well, for usual podcasting listening. And it's a fantastic journey listening to these people. It's just it makes my day, it makes my week, and I'm truly honoured to be doing it and speaking to some of these people. It's brilliant.
Oh, it sounds really, really exciting, Lou. It's been a real pleasure chatting with you and finding out more about this exciting adventure. If people want to keep up to date with what you're doing, is the best place for them to go on social media? Have you got a website? Obviously, you've got your podcast, but tell us. Give us your info. Okay, so the nice thing about having a unique name is that there's not many other people with a similar name. So it is Louis Skupien, Louis Skupien, and that is around all the social medias. Very active on Instagram, Facebook, somewhat, YouTube. That's where I have the video feed for the Talk4 podcast. So yeah, anywhere around social media, please feel free to reach out. I posted a fantastic video. I was lucky enough to edit it myself, of the experience of the GoPros and the whole day, really, and that's on my YouTube channel. I've highlighted it at the very top, so I'd be honoured if people would go and have a little look at that. And I just want to shout out as well Matthew, Whiz, Buckley, and the No Fallen Heroes Foundation, saving veterans' lives. Please do go and take a look at that as well. He is a fantastic person, couldn't advocate him enough, and the foundation is making huge impacts. Brilliant stuff, Lou. Well, thanks so much for joining us. It's been brilliant hearing from you.
Jenna, it's been an absolute pleasure, and it's way more exciting than my usual Friday nights. So listening to this on the way up here too, you do a fantastic job, and happy birthday for yesterday too as well.
Oh, thank you so much, Lou. That's really, really kind of you.
Thank you.